Okay, Aisha, you can you read, Aisha?
Yes, ma'am.
Please read from Don't You Remember Me, Mr. Cunningham.
Don't you remember me, Mr. Cunningham? I am Jean Lois Finch. You
It
brought
is
us from
Jane Louis Finch.
Jane
Hmm.
Lois Finch. You bought us some hickory nuts one time,
Hickory
remember?
nuts. Hickory
Hickory
nuts.
nuts. Hickory nuts one time, remember? I began to sense the futility one heals when unknowledgeable by chance
Unacknowledged. Okay, wait.
unaccount.
Don't you remember me, Mr. Cunningham? So she tried for the second time. First time, she her friendly introduction, her friendly gesture was unanswered by Mr. Cunningham. So she tried again, second time. She told him, don't you remember me, Mr. Cunningham? I'm Jane Louis Finch. So Scout's real name was Jane Louis Finch. And she reminded him that one day he had come to their house and he had bought them some hickory nuts. They are some kind of dry fruits for them. I began to sense the futility. Futility means uselessness. Okay. She began to get a feeling of uselessness because one feels when unacknowledged by a chance acquaintance. Acquaintance means someone you know not that well. You know that person, but you don't know that person so well. So she began to feel that uselessness is when you meet someone whom you've not met a lot of time, just once or twice maybe, and you meet that person and that person fails to acknowledge you, that person fails to recognize you. That is how the feeling which Scout was having, that although she recognized Mr. Cunningham was not responding to her, which meant that her conversation could not go ahead with him because he was refusing to acknowledge whatever she was saying. Okay. Yes, Aisha, continue.
I go to school with Walter. I begin again. He's your boy, ain't he? Ain't he, sir? Mr. Cunningham was moved to a faint nod. He did not know me after
He
all.
did know
He
me.
is in
He
my
did
grade.
know me after all.
He did know me after all. He
Hmm.
is in my grade, I said, and he does right well. He's a good boy. I added a nice boy. We brought him home for dinner one time. Maybe
Okay,
he
wait,
told you about
wait.
me.
Yes. So now she tried uh, once more she tried, because twice he had refused to acknowledge whatever Scout was trying to say. So she tried a third time and she told Mr. Cunningham that she went to school with his son. She said, don't you remember? I go to school with Walter, your son. Isn't he your boy? He's your boy, ain't he? Means, isn't he your son? Isn't he your son, sir? Yes, Mr. Cunningham was now moved to a faint nod. So finally, she managed to get some response from Mr. Cunningham's side. So Mr. Cunningham just nodded. A very faint nod means a very slight nod she received when she asked him whether he recognized her or not, because she studied with Walter, his son. So finally, Mr. Cunningham acknowledged her with a slight nodding of his head. Okay. So this was the only reaction she got after a long time from Mr. Cunningham. Okay. He did know me after all. So she was now relieved that yes, he did recognize her after everything. He is in my grade, I said. He is in my grade means he is in my class. And he does write well. That means he is a very good boy. He is doing very well. I added a real nice boy. So to continue the conversation, she got a little hint that when she spoke about his son, he nodded a little. So she went on about his son only. He said, your boy is a very good boy. He's very good. He's doing very well. We brought him home for dinner one time. She also told him that, yes, I got him home for dinner once. Maybe he told you about me. I beat him up. So he said, maybe Walter might have told you about me, because one day I brought him home for dinner. I beat him up one time, but he was real nice about it. Tell him hey for me, won't you? So she told Mr. Cunningham that one day I beat him up also, but he didn't tell anyone. He was very nice about it, means he did not complain to anyone about me. So can you say hi to him from my side? Tell him hey for me means, can you say hello to him from my side? Okay. So since you all are taking a long time, I will read the last page because I'll keep explaining. Atticus had said it was a polite thing to talk to people about what they were interested in and not about what you were interested in. So Atticus had told Scout once that you must talk to people about what the people are interested in and not about what you are interested in. So uh, following her father's advice, Scout saw that Mr. Cunningham was interested in talking about his son. She got a little response from him when she talked about his son. So she remembered what Atticus had said, that talk to people about what they are interested in listening to and not about what you are interested in. Mr. Cunningham displayed no interest in his son, so I tackled his entailment once more in a last ditch effort to make him feel at home. So she had received only a slight nod when she talked about her son, and when she told him to say hi to his son and all, she got no response from him. So she thought that she would once make a very last ditch effort. Last ditch effort means a last attempt to get some response from him by talking about his entailment once again, in an effort to make him feel at home. So she was a small child, a 9-year-old child, who was trying to make this very grim, serious situation a light one. She was trying to make the situation light. She looked at all the men around. They were big, burly, dangerous looking men, but yet she found a familiar face, Mr. Cunningham. She tried to strike a conversation with Mr. Cunningham. When he did not respond to all the talk she indulged in with him, she decided that since he is a grown up person, he might be interested in talking about mature things. So she decided that let me talk about his entailments once again. Entailments are bad, I was advising him, when I slowly awoke to the fact that I was addressing the entire aggregation. So when she started talking about his entailments and saying that entailments are really bad, she looked around herself. Slowly awoke to the fact means she was slowly aware. She became slowly aware of the fact of the situation, that she was, in fact, addressing the entire, she was talking to the entire assembly of people, entire gathering over there. The men were all looking at me. Some had their mouths half open. So everyone had come for a different purpose there. They had come to take away Tom Robinson, and instead they were all listening to this small child talking. And they had their mouths half open. They were so surprised to see a small girl talking about entailments and such things. Atticus had stopped poking at Jem. Atticus had also forgotten about Jem, and he had stopped telling him to go back home. They were standing together beside Dill. All three of them, Atticus, Jem, and Dill, were standing together. Their attention amounted to fascination. So this is a very important line. Their attention amounted to fascination. So not only were these people looking at or listening to Scout very attentively, they were not only listening to her attentively, but they were full of fascination. They were full of admiration for her. You can write down admiration. They were all admiring her. Atticus's mouth even was half open. So even Atticus was very surprised to see that Scout was making such a situation so light, and he was also very surprised, and even his mouth was half open. An attitude he had once described as uncouth. So Atticus had his mouth half open, but Scout had been told once by her father, Atticus himself, that to have your mouth half open is bad manners. But at this point of time, Atticus himself had his mouth half open. He was surprised. Everyone was surprised. And they were admiring Scout, listening to her attentively. All of them, all the grown up people around her were filled with fascination, admiration for her. And even Atticus had his mouth half open, a manner which he had once described to Scout as being not very good manners. He had told Scout that it is not very good manners to have your mouth half open. Our eyes met and he shut it. So as soon as their eyes met, when Scout looked at Atticus's half open mouth, both of them, their eyes met each other, and Atticus shut his mouth because he realized that what he was doing. He had asked his children, he had told his children that it was bad manners to keep their mouths half open, and he was doing it himself. And therefore, when his eyes met Scout's eyes, he shut his mouth. Well, Atticus, I was just saying to Mr. Cunningham that entailments are bad and all that, but you said not to worry. It takes a long time sometimes that you all ride it out together. So she looked at Atticus and she told him, now she was trying to explain to Atticus that I was just trying to tell Mr. Cunningham that entailments are a bad thing, but you have told him not to worry. It takes sometimes a long time to solve such cases of entailment, but you all ride it out together means that you will fight it out together. Okay, you will solve the case together. I was slowly drying up. Slowly drying up means my her voice was slowly becoming very dry. She was at a loss of words. She did not know what else to say, wondering what idiocy I had committed. So she was thinking that she had been very stupid, talking stupidly. She thought that she was not sounding sane. She was sounding insane. So she was trying to make things up now. She did not know what, she was not sure what she was speaking about now. Entailment seemed all right enough for living room talk. So this is an important line where now Scout is realizing that entailments were something which should be talked about in the living room and not in front of a jail, in front of people who did not understand anything about law or legal affairs. So she ultimately realized that she was talking nonsense, and it did not make any sense to the people who were standing here. Entailments were something which should be talked about only in a living room. I began to feel sweat gathering at the edges of my hair. So she was feeling sweaty. Sweat was gathering because she was getting nervous. I could stand anything but a bunch of people looking at me. They were quite still. So all these bunch of people were looking at her, and now she was getting all nervous, looking at them, staring at her. They were all standing still. What's the matter? I asked. So ultimately she asked them, what's the matter? Atticus said nothing. I looked around and up at Mr. Cunningham, whose face was equally impassive. So Atticus did not say anything. She looked around and she looked at Mr. Cunningham once again, and his face was also impassive, means expressionless. There was no expression on his face, on Mr. Cunningham's face also. Then he did a peculiar thing. He squatted down and took me by both shoulders. So suddenly he did a strange thing. Who? Mr. Cunningham suddenly did a strange thing. He squatted down, means he sat down on his knees, and he held both her shoulders. I'll tell him you said, hey, little lady, he said. So Cunningham was heart melted a little, and he sat down, he held the shoulders of Scout and told her that, yes, I will say hey to Walter from your side, little lady. Then he straightened up and waved a big paw. Big paw refers to his hand because he was a big man. So his hand has been referred to as a paw. So he stood up and he waved to his people. Let's clear out, he called. Let's get going, boys. So he told his men, let's go out from here. Let's get out from this place. As they had come in ones and twos, the men shuffled back to their ramshackle cars. So in ones and twos, they had come over there in 4 cars. So slowly, one by one, all of them moved out. Shuffled means to move out in a clumsy manner. So all of them slowly moved back to their Ramshackle cars means the cars were not in a proper condition. They were in severe disrepair. So doors slammed, doors of the cars began to shut. Engines scuffed. Engine scuffed means the car engine started and they were gone. And in an instant, all of them were gone. So this is how Scout saved the day for her father and for Tom Robinson. That is why the name of the chapter is Scout Saves the Day. Because of her innocence, all the big people around her felt so embarrassed that they left the place without doing anything. I turned to Atticus, but Atticus had gone to the jail and was leaning against it with his face to the wall. So this was a big relief for Atticus as well. She looked at Atticus, but Atticus was leaning against the wall of the jail. And I went to him and pulled his sleeve. Can we go home now? He nodded and produced his handkerchief, gave his face a going over, and blew his nose violently. So Atticus was naturally very scared, more so because he had his children involved in this. The children were there, and he was even more scared because of the children. So he said, he was like very relieved once the men were gone. So he took out his handkerchief. He rubbed his face. Face going over means he wiped his face with the handkerchief and he blew his nose. Mr. Finch, a soft, husky voice came from the darkness above. They gone. So who is calling Mr. Finch? Tom Robinson. Tom Robinson from upstairs in his jail. He was also listening to everything. So he called out to Atticus, he said, Mr. Finch. So a soft, husky voice came from the darkness above. What is the darkness above? The jail. A voice came out from the jail. They gone. Have they all left? Atticus stepped back and looked up. They've gone, he said. Get some sleep, Tom. They won't bother you anymore. So, yes, uh, Tom Robinson from his jail room was also observing and listening to what all was going on. And he also, after these men left, he inquired from Atticus that whether these men have gone or not. And Atticus assured him that yes, they have all gone for now. You get some sleep. They will not come and bother you anymore. So this is how Scout saves the day for Tom Robinson as well as her father.